the preamble. Okay. Since the preamble is something which is on the first page of your document, and that has to be, the best, right? So we have obviously named it as LaTeX workshops, and just in case, I'll just show you. We can just rename it as anything. Let's say Skanda Prasad, and probably AK. That's for Karthikam. So that should be fine. And if I press recompile, it will compile it for me, and you can see the changes. Now there's something interesting here. Let's say we both are the authors, and I want to thank somebody. Okay, so what I'm going to do is after AK, I'll just give a backslash and say thanks. Okay, so inside thanks, if I say, let's say I want to thank IEEE Bangalore section for this. Okay, and if I press Ctrl S, you see a small reference kind of thing comes here, like a star, and you can go below. There's a small line called as IEEE Bangalore section. That's completely optional. You can either keep it or leave it. I just wanted to show that to you because it's pretty cool. So that is one thing. And the next thing is obviously date. Okay. You can see date here, and either you can give today's date like manually, or what you can do is give /today and compile it, and right away you can see that it gives today's date, that is May 8th. That is something really cool, right? You can make use of that unless, or you can give it manually. It's totally up to you. So that is something which I want to tell you. Again, in document class, anything which comes in curly brackets are called as non-optional arguments, or necessary or compulsory arguments. You have to give it. But if I give something in square brackets such as this, it will be something called as optional arguments. I can either give it or may not. I don't have to give it always. Let's say I want it to be something called as A4 paper. I can leave it like this. There is something called as letter paper, A4 paper. You can keep A5, A3, your choice. And you can even specify the font size as well. So I'll keep it, let's say 12 points. So you can give it 12 pt, or you can choose to not give anything. It will use the default. Okay. So that is about preamble and what basically happens in the basics of the LaTeX. Now, let me just show you what happens unless if I remove the /make title. Okay, it's gonna give me an error. Not error exactly. Whatever is there, it'll go off because you have to specify the title inside your begin and end document. Anything you give inside that will be your body of the your whole PDF. So I'll give make title because I need it. I'll probably show you what the report does also. You can see this as well. Just compile. Yep. See, the whole thing is in one page now, and anything else goes into the next page. Okay. So that is the basics. Now I think we can go on with the next stuff. That will be after make title. You can start typing, any sentence you want. This is a trial LaTeX, document. I'll just give this, and you see the sentence just comes here. Oops. Okay. So I'll remove the section for now because we won't need it. We'll look at sections later on. So as you can see, I got a sentence right there, and I want to show another cool thing here. That is, if I specifically type LaTeX this way, LATE and capital X, and I'll also give a backslash here. And now you can see something interesting happens. You'll get original logo of LaTeX. You see that? And there is something called as escape sequence also. You might have seen in your programming languages. We escape its original meaning and want it to work. It's behave as how we want it. So I'm going to escape the space there. Check what happens. Now it will give me the space between the X and the document. So that is something which I wanted to show you. We'll see that later on. More of it. And yeah. Next, what I want to show is we have seen the preamble. We have seen how to initialize. Now we'll go and look at some text formatting. Okay. Now, as Karthik said, you don't have to worry too much about how you format it. Next line, or if you just go on typing the way I show you now, it will still format, which is not the case in Microsoft Word or Google Docs. Let's see how we do it. I'm going to take another sentence. Let's say I am Skanda Prasad, and let's say he is Karthik. So if I do this, and I'll give a Control S, you can see that both of them come in the same sentence. Now, why does that happen? I've already given a new line there. I've given an enter, but still it comes like this. If you want specifically a new line, you can give double slash this way. That is double backslash, and again one more here, and one more here. And then if you compile, I hope all of you are following. Okay, just in case if you have any questions, let us know in the chat. Me or Karthik will be very happy to help you at any time. You can also unmute and let us know if you have any queries. Now, the important thing is this is something called as soft new line, because see, it is giving in a paragraph kind of way. Okay, we start after a tab space and then it goes on. If you really want a hard, a hard new line, then what you can do is give, specifically a blank line in your source code. And then if I compile, I'll show you what happens. It will give me, okay, 1 second. After every line, I'll do that. Yeah. Now, if you see, you'll get hard line, harder new lines. Yep, that's basically it. So you can take care of things like this as well. Now, let's see some, bold, italics, and underlines as kind of basic stuff so that we are familiarized with it. I'll take a few more sentences. Let's say, I love to play, let's say, basketball. And yeah, there are a few ways to, get this thing bolded. So what you can do is, I'll just cut it and I'll start typing text BF. You can start typing and you'll start getting suggestions automatically by LaTeX. What you can do is press a tab space and it'll automatically come, and then you can paste it inside. And now if I run the Control S, you'll get how to play. I love to play basketball. Now I'll take the same sentence again, but this time I want to italicize it. Now what I'll do, text IT, that is for text italic, and paste it inside, and then run the code. You'll get an italicized. I'll give a line. This should bring it in the next line. Not an issue. And maybe even we want to underline it. So I'll paste this. Take underline you. Yeah, this should give me underline. You can paste it there, and that will be underlined for you. Now, the most important part is sometimes you want to bold it out, but only a specific part of the sentence. You don't want it, you want it to look a bit different. Maybe the whole sentence is important. Let's say, I love to play basketball is a very important sentence in your document. But basketball is even more important. Let's say you want to emphasize more on it. So what you can do is cut this part and then type EMPH. You'll start getting the suggestion and paste it. And then check it. Hold on. Or we have to give a few packages. We'll cover packages later on. Not an issue. I'll cover this part later on. Okay. When we do the packages part.
One more curly brace.
What?
You have to put one more back on the front. Yeah, okay, you missed a curly brace.
UPH. Oh, okay. That should do it. Yes. Thank you. So I love to play basketball. Now basketball is now italicized. Similarly, if you have an italicized sentence and you want to emphasize the word basketball there, so what do you do? EMPH and and paste it, and then check. Only that part will now not be italicized. As you can clearly see, I love to play is in italics, and basketball is in normal font. So that's some basic text formatting I think you should know about. Yeah. Now, another important thing, how do you comment out? You obviously use comments in your programming languages, which the LaTeX will not see and not compile. So if you give a percentage, and then if I type, hi, hello, or anything, you can just do anything. And if you want to save it, you can check it, but that thing will not be printed on your screen. So that is something which we had to, cover. Any questions until now? I'll just pause and check. If you have anything, just let us know. No, I'm just checking the chat. Hold on. Okay. Since there are no questions, I guess we can move forward. Now, coming to some of the most important things. Now I'd like to talk about, let's say, I want to create some lists. Let's say, numbered and unnumbered, such kind of things. So how do you do it? For that, you can use backslash and you can start typing begin. Okay. So when you say begin, it'll automatically complete it for you. You see that enumerate. Enumerate is for if you want the list to be numbered, 1, 2, 3 that way. Or if you don't want it, you can have that as well. For that, you have to say itemize. So you'll start getting the suggestion there as well. So itemize, and for every item inside the itemize, the begin and end, you have to give. Okay, let's say again, I like to play basketball. I'll go and I'll type item again, and I also like cricket. So that should do the stuff. You can compile it and check. Yes, you see, I got the 2 points, just 2 bullets. So that is one thing which I want to show you. Next, if I want to do slash begin and let's say enumerate, it will give me item, and I'll type, I'll probably copy the same things again. Here, paste it here, and then compile. Oh yes, we got, I love to play basketball. I also like cricket. Both the sentences, we've got it. And yeah, I just forgot to tell you, when you press recompile, there's a drop down right here. You can also switch on auto compile. When you make any changes within, let's say, I guess a second or something, it will, recompile for you. So that is one cool feature. If you want, you can, switch that on. If not, you can keep it under yourself. So that was about list. And in case you want to, I'll probably paste these two this part inside this. Let's check what happens. Okay. Inside the enumerate, I'm pasting the itemized stuff as an item. Let's check what happens. We'll just explore, different stuff. Let's see what happens. We are getting the 3rd point, and below that, we are getting 2 more sub points. So you can, mix and match stuff if you want, enumerated, and then inside it, if you want bullet points, or bullet points first, and inside you want it enumerated. Totally up to you and completely, at your disposal. So LaTeX is, as I would say, it is, one of the most beautiful things which I've come across, and very nice to play around, very nice to learn things around. And yes, we can move forward. The next thing after the lists is, let's go into tables. Okay, let's say you want to create a table, and it can be anything, related to math or maybe just text. We'll see how to, write a table. I'll start with slash begin. Okay, and there's something called as table. You'll get table here. Okay, when I press tab, you'll automatically get a lot of things here. Now, what are those? If you say slash begin table, and inside that you can see slash begin tabular is there. Only this part is what is very important. This will just create a table for you. There is absolutely no issue. But if you want, it aligned in the between, in the middle, and then if you want to give a label, caption, etc., only then you have to use the slash begin table and end table if you want to use it. Else, slash begin tabular and end tabular will perfectly work if you just want a table. Okay. So that is one thing which I want to tell you. Now, another important thing is centering will just center the table in your page. We'll see when we compile it. So that is one thing. And one sec. Now, after you say begin tabular, you can see the C and C. This will center the text inside the table. Okay. And when you want to fill it, let's say I want to fill A, and if I give B here, and what I'm actually doing is horizontally, I'm going to fill the items of the table. A and B will come one next to the other. And I'll say C and D here. Let's just see what happens here. I'll just compile. Let's check what happens. Yeah. Now, as you see, A, B, C, D, it has come in the way, but there is a horizontal line. I'm sorry, vertical line in between. And that is due to this line, as you see. Okay. That is making the vertical line in between. In case you want to use a horizontal line, give a H line. Okay. And if I compile it, now let's see what happens. You see this. Now my question is, if you're, I typed it, after this, this list thingy, but it's coming above. Why is that happening? The reason is LaTeX will see where does the table or the image in any case, where does it fit best in the page. So if you want to change it, you have to give a /h. I mean, in the bracket, you have to give a capital H. Okay. So if I do this, I have to use a package, I guess, for this. That will be use package and give a float here. Okay. You have to use the package float and then give a H here. H basically is I'm instructing the LaTeX to keep the table where I exactly want it to be. Don't do anything yourself. So that's what I'm actually doing. So if you see, it's come right here. Now some cool stuff which I want to show you here is you can actually keep a vertical pipe here as well as here. And if you want to see what that gives, it will give you this way. Okay. And you can even give a H line before this. So if I give a H, oops, 1 second. H line before and after C and D as well. We'll complete the table for you. Okay. Height. Okay, wait. And
New line character.
huh?
New line.
Oh, new line character. Oh yeah. Sorry. Yep. That will complete the table. Now, assuming instead of A and B, A and B are, let's say, my headings. Okay. Now, after that, I'll show you this as well. After A and B, A and B are my headings of the table, let's say, and I want, a double line there. Okay. So what do you do? So I'll give 2 H lines here. You can also do that 2 times. Oops. Then you can see what happens. You see, there's a double line. Actually, there are 3. Okay, I'll remove this. Now, if you see, there'll be 2 lines here. Similarly, if you keep a, one more pipe right here, you'll also get that. Okay, that as well. That is possible. You can, keep any text here. You can keep, this is my table of, I don't know. I'm just typing some random stuff. Universe. That doesn't make sense. I know, but yeah, just anything. Karthik likes to play football. Let's see what this does. It'll fill it out for you. Let's say I have even more, bigger sentences. I'll probably give universe, comma, earth, comma, I don't know, Venus. And Karthik likes to play football, basketball. I'm just filling text just so that, I go out of the page. Basketball, cricket, etc. I'm just typing a lot of things. Let's see what it gives. Okay, it's still not enough. Okay, just assuming, I'll just leave it here. Assuming, this will happen actually. If you have a lot of text, LaTeX will not know to control and it will just, cut it out of the page. So to control that, what you can actually do is, you see the C and C. I'll remove one of the pipes here and C, as I told you, it will center the text inside your table. Now, if you want to, I'll just show you this. If you want to make it go left, you can just type L on both the sides. And if you see now, if you compile, it will become left justified, as you can see. Assuming still, the things are out of the pages, what you can do is give a P. Yeah. Now this will be interesting. If you see, it will, mix it up. This is certainly not what we want. This just, misses the point. So what do you do? After P, you can actually control the width. Okay, width of your table. I'll give, let's say, I don't know, 5 centimeters. You can any sort of measurement is allowed unless it is predefined in LaTeX. Centimeters, inches, millimeters, all of them are allowed. So you can use that. I'll use 5 centimeters here also. Now, if I compile, let's just see what happens. If you see, it will actually be 5 centimeters. If you want to see it go more, you can also see 7, I guess 8. Okay, let's check 8. Yeah. Yep. it will control it for me. So that is something cool. This makes it a lot easier to, make the tables. So I guess we have come to the end of the table. That's basically it about tables. Let's say now I want to go to images. I want to, put some pictures right here. I'll do that. Let's say begin. It will come, and you have to use something called as include graphics. But if you want to use that, you need to have another package. So I'll go back up again, and I'll say use package. Start typing with me, please. You can see the CX. That one you have to click. That is graphic X. So that will allow me to keep images. So for images, you have to say begin figure. So it'll already autocomplete for me. I'll use begin figure. Again, it's just exactly like tables. If I don't want captions, labels, etc., I don't have to use begin figure. I can just use this single sentence, that is include graphics. That will give the picture to me, but just so that it looks beautiful and all the beautification is done. That'll all obviously aid our eyes on the PDF. So that's why I'll be using begin figure. Now, if you want to figure, you have to upload it here first, actually. So what I'll do is, I guess you can see, new file, new folder, upload. I'll just go to upload, and it'll ask me to select from my computer. You can select from your system. Give me a second. I'll just pick any. Yeah, I've picked. I just missed the chat. 1 second. Karthik, can you just see? There was a message in the chat.
I can't see any message. I think it was sent to you.
Oh, it was sent to me privately, huh? Could you copy and paste the package link in the chat? Okay, sure.
Oh, sure.
Will you do it, or shall I do it?
I have shared the view link. I think you can see the whole code. I'll just share it again in the chat, okay?
Yeah, you just share the link again in the chat. Probably they can visit.
Yes, yes.
Shantanu, actually, what you can do is go to the view link. You can actually view what exactly I'm editing and what I'm doing. So
yeah, you can see all of that.
Yeah.
I sent it again in the common chat. Please open it. You can see the whole source code, including the package.
You can even copy and compile at your will also. You'll just not be able to edit it, but you can compile. So yeah, we were talking about figures, and if I want to include the image, I have to go inside the curly brackets of include graphics, and I've already given an image here. You can also give an upload folder, and if you have multiple images, what you can do is put all the images in that folder and then give image slash. If you've used your terminals in your computers, you would probably know you give a path to a file, right? So similar thing you have to do here, and it'll take the image from there. It will know where to go, and then it will do it. Since I've already just I have it here, I'll just keep it like this. It will actually autocomplete. So this is something which will give figure. And now I'll just say compile. Let's see what this does. Yep, see the figure. You don't know what this figure is, nor do I know at present. It's completely skewed, right? It's gone, it's zoomed. So what should you do to control it, and where do you want to keep it? Number one thing, I have to give H here as well, because I want to place it exactly where I want. Where is the in the source code where it is? I want the picture exactly at that place. So I'll give a capital H in square brackets, and I'll compile it again. Let's see what happens. It still remains the same, I guess. Yep, it still remains the same. Now what you can do is go to the include graphics line, okay, and use square brackets again, and you can specify the width, okay. How much do you want the width to be? I'll give, let's say, I don't know, again, 8 centimeters. 8 centimeters should be fine. Now I'll compile. Let's see what happens. Yep, you can clearly see the figure here. That's a beautiful scenery. And the thing is, you can also scale its size. You can give a comma here and say scale. I don't know, maybe half of its original size. Let's say 0.5. Let's see what that does. Okay, it's actually in the, I'll just increase it. Let's say 0.9. Let's see what that does. You can scale the size as well. Maybe comma is not there. Hold on. That did work when I did it on my system, not online. Okay. Let's just ignore scale for now. I'll get back to you on that. But width does the trick actually. So you can also caption as you want it to be. Maybe I'll say nature. Okay, and I'll just leave it my. That doesn't matter. You can have label, caption, anything, or if you want, you can just remove it also. Absolutely not an issue. Okay, so we are done with tables. We are done with images, and one of the most important things is now right here for you. That is the math part of the LaTeX. My favorite part actually. You can just play around with mathematics a lot. I'll not take too much time because we have to still do quite a lot of important things related to research papers, how to write, etc. We'll go over some basic math commands as well, which will you'll see those are very beautiful. So what I'll do is, firstly, if you want to type something, let's say I'm going to type x plus x plus 3 equal to, I don't know, 9. Let's see what this does first. Let's observe. Excuse me, okay, but it's not that well. Uh, uh, it doesn't look that beautiful. Now, if you wanted specifically to be of math type, I'll show you how to do. You can give a dollar and a dollar, enclose it in a dollar symbol, and let's just see what happens. What's the difference between that and this? You see the x, it just italicized a bit, and then there's a proper spacing between plus 3 equal to and 9. So that is something which you can do. If you are not comfortable with dollars, someone like me, you can also keep a backslash, open bracket, and then close it, and this way. So in between, oops, hold on. In between, you can keep anything here. I'll keep the probably keep the same thing. X plus 3 equal to 9. Let's see what that is. You don't have to keep so many spaces also. I'm just showing it to you. I doubt there should be any difference. Nope, no difference, because there shouldn't be any. Let's remove this. Okay. So this is something, this is called as an equation. Obviously, you all know it. And let's say I want to do another equation. Let's say x plus 5 equal to 10. I'm just doing it. Let's see what this does. Let's observe. Will it give it, in the second line, or will it not? Let's just see. It is giving right next to it, but I want in the second line. And I want it to be centered as well. So what do? You can remove the normal brackets and replace with square brackets. Let's see what that does first. I'll just compile this. Yep, you see, the x plus 3 equal to 9 came in the center, and it's pretty well sitting there nicely. I'll do the same thing here as well and compile it. This will go in the next line. Okay. Instead of that, the same thing you can do with double dollar symbols also. Double dollar, and let's say I want to do. Let's go into fractions. Okay, let's see how to write fractions. 2 by 3, 3 by 4, that way. So what I'll do is backslash, start with frac. Now, for again, if you have to use the fractions, you have to again include some packages. In C or C++, what do you use? You hash include math.h2. We do that, right? Similarly, use package. What you have to give is firstly AMS fonts. In case you want to use, set A belongs to the real numbers. That real number, the R will be, it'll have double lines, etc. So for that, you'll need AMS fonts, and similarly, anything you can give either with commas, or you can give with, in separate lines as well. I'll give AMS relates to math, so give math as well. Use package AMS. You'll probably need symbols if you want to use all the alpha, gamma, all those symbols you want to use. You have to give these 3 packages. Again, please visit the link in the chat, and then actually you can see what I'm working with. And then in case you want to use these packages, you can just copy paste from there, or I would probably suggest you to type it out yourself once as well. Okay. Now, since I've included, this should work for me. I give 2 and 3. Okay. Please remember the syntax will be backslash, frac, and then 2 and 3 in separate, curly brackets. And when I do this, you have to also close the dollar symbol. And then let's check what happens. Two by 3, yes. So 2 by 3 is right here. Now I can actually make quite a lot of big equation with this. I'll give frac again. I'll give, let's say, x and probably y equal to anything. Let's say 13. I don't know what that means, but I'm just doing it just so that you know what's happening here. Yep, it's a beautiful equation. It looks exactly how I want it to. So that is about fractions, and we saw basic equations. Next, let's just see some trigonometric. So how do you actually write trigonometric signs? Let's say I write sine x plus cos x equal to 1. Let's say I want to see how this. Let's see how this looks like. Okay. Let's compile and check what happens. The things are in the next page. This doesn't look, I mean, it is fine. You can understand, but the proper convention in LaTeX is give a backslash, and sine is actually a function here. Give a space, do the same thing for cos, give a space, and then you see what happens. Looks like, a textbook exactly. Should look like a textbook. Yep. See, sine is, not bold, I mean, not italicized. X is, properly italicized. That's exactly how it should be. You can use cos, tan, cosecant. Cosecant will be written as CSC. Okay. So please remember that. That is about trigonometric functions. Let's just add, some log also. Log x, I guess plus, minus, anything you want to do. Let's see what happens. Compile it. Yep. Log x is right there. And I want to do some interesting stuff such as square root. So backslash sqrt, and that open the brackets. I don't know, 2, let's say. Let's see what this gives us. Hold on. Why are they centered? Number and frac. How do I revert back? Centered in the sense you can remove the square brackets and put the normal brackets. So what that will do is it will keep it next to each other or wherever you want it to be. If you use double dollars is perfectly as same as slash backslash and the square brackets. That and double dollars are same. Single dollars and backslash and the normal bracket will be the same. It will do the same job. It will keep it wherever you want it to be. You can align it as per your reference. I hope that answered your question, Shashank. Should I wait for a reply? Shashank, you done? Are you getting, the change? Let me know in the chat. And it'll be better if you put, your queries in the, chat common for everyone so that if others are facing any issues, then probably we can address for everybody. So that's about square root. Now let's say I want to add, give square root, but I'll give this a square bracket. I'll keep 3 here and 2 here. Let's see what this does. Suppose this, hold on. You see, it'll give me third root of 2. So in case you want, nth root or, 10th, whatever, like power 1 by 10, that is what is actually power 1 by 3 in this case. So you can keep the thing on the square root itself. So that is one more thing which I wanted to show you. Probably one more thing interesting would be, slash int. This will give you integral. Okay. Let's say I want to write f of x dx equal to 1, I say. Let's see what this does. Slash int will give you perfect integral symbol. Now you can also edit it. I'll say int like backslash int underscore 0. So what it'll do is keep 0 below as the lower limit and power, let's say 1. Let's see what this does. Let's wait and check. Perfect how I want it to be. Okay. So this is one more important thing. Let's say you're doing some, ultra calculus, you're into calculus a lot and you're calculating area, volume, and, of different surfaces, across surfaces. So what should you do? Should you type slash int, and then f of x? Let's see what this does. It'll give me double integrals, but I don't like the spacing. So what I do is I'll remove all of this and I'll give I. You see, IINT. Let's see what this does. Yep, this looks a lot better. Now I'll give 2 more i's. Let's see what that does. Oh my God, 4 integrals. That's crazy. Yes. So we are done with integrals. I mean, 4 times the triple integrals, whatever. You can just play around a lot with that. Now I'll probably go into, let's say, use some symbols. Let's say theta plus, I don't know, sine theta plus, I'm just typing random stuff. Psi. This will give you that, the threshold symbol that, then you should know about psi. You would have, worked with that. I don't know, phi. Probably, let's say, tan phi equal to. Let's see what this gives first. I'll show you something interesting again here. Yep, theta plus sine theta plus psi plus tan phi equal to perfectly as how I want it to be. I'm just keeping things in center. You can just align it later on wherever you want it to. That's not an issue. Now, let's say I want to type 180 degrees. How do I do this? Oops, this doesn't look good at all, right? This is of no use. Wait, let's just wait to see. Oh my God, this is the worst thing which you can see. I want the degree symbol, the circle thing above. How do I do that? So for that, there's one cool thing called as you give a power that is, exponent thing. And you can either you can use this or you don't have to. I'll give us backslash CIRC circle. Let's see what this does. Wait, oh my God, that's perfectly how we want it to be. Just play around with this, it'll be cool actually. Not just mathematics, I'll show you a chemical equation also. There's something very beautiful. So what I can do is I want another equation. Let's say I want H2O underscore 2 capital O H2O plus, and let's say, I don't know, CH3 equal to is very bad, right? I want that arrow mark. So what should you do? Give backslash and say right arrow. Okay, right arrow, and let's say I don't know what the product is. I'll just write again H2O. It doesn't matter, currently. Let's see what this does. Let's observe. Oh yes, that's a chemical equation. That's perfect. Also, if I want to, let's say I want to imply it to something, I'll give backslash implies. I don't know, whatever. It should imply something. We don't know what it should imply. We'll just see what this does. Decompile. Yep, imply symbol will give me a double arrow. Okay. You can also give, long arrows or short arrows. That's totally up to you. You can, I'll share the link of the LaTeX wiki manual later on. That has, everything for your reference. You can, look up there and, use as per as your convenience. So this is something which I wanted to show in math. Karthik, how much time do I have? How much time can I take?
You can take about 5 more minutes, 5 or 10 more minutes.
Okay, sure. 5 minutes should be fine. Okay. There is, let's say I want, I guess 2 more math equations should be fine. Let's say I'm going to use sum. Okay. Sum will give me the summation symbol, the sigma, capital sigma. Okay. So sum underscore. You see in math textbooks, right? You would have seen in your 11th class, class 11, class 12. You see things like I equal to 0, and then it just basically works the same way as integral. And the way you write syntax here. And I'll give probably slash infty. Let's see what this does. This does something really good. Unless and until there are no errors. Yep. You see sigma, that is backslash sum underscore. Underscore will put everything into the subscript. Okay. I equal to 0 is what we want there. And above it, what do you want? You want infinity, let's say. Or you can keep anything else you want. That's totally up to you. Equal to backslash PROD. What will PROD do is it will give the big pi symbol which is used for representing multiplication. Exactly same thing. I don't know, probably let's say j equal to 0 and power again, let's say infinity. We don't mind what it is. This might not make much sense mathematically, but yeah, it works for, for our cause and case, this is really good. Yeah, so backslash limit and the same things will give you, limit equations. Let's not go too much into that because I'm slightly behind the time schedule. And yeah, this should be it. You can also, define matrices, and that will work exactly how you wrote tables. Okay. You see this begin table here. So instead of that, you can actually define matrices also. And you have to give begin matrix. I will probably just show it to you. Hold on. I'm just telling begin. Let's say matrix. Okay. It'll give me end matrix. Now it works exactly how tables used to work. As I said, you can give A and B, next line C and D. Okay. Let's see what this does. Errors. Okay, it's giving me an error because it's saying it is not in the math mode. So there is something called as math, that is display style mode. If you're doing anything related to math, it's always better that you enclose that in dollar symbols. Okay, it's recommended, but not always compulsory. It'll still give you the output, but yeah. Now this matrix doesn't, serve our purpose. It hasn't got the, the brackets thingy. Let's say I put, I don't know, B matrix. Okay, let's see what this is. I'll show you. These are just the way LaTeX is defined. Let's see what B matrix is. Yep, this looks a lot like matrix to me. You can also add matrix again. You give P and things change. Okay. Let's see what P matrix does. Oh, this is another way of writing. I mean, in linear algebra, people usually write like this. So if you want to use V matrix, this will give you for yourself. It should give you determinants. Yep, it gives you determinants. So that's, I mean, what I have pretty much for math currently. And I hope, I mean, I know that this is like, nowhere close to enough. If I can just go deep into it and then, explore a lot of things. But yeah, for today, I think this should suffice. I'll be sharing the manual, as I said, later on. So you can, refer to it late, as and when you require. Karthik, I guess you can continue from here. He'll be showing you some, interesting things, how to write research papers, and, he'll show you templates, etc. So yeah, Karthik, over to you.
Yes, Kandan. I think you're okay. All right. So I'll be using the same. Also, guys, just one thing. All of these things, whatever Skanda covered, so the functions of IIIN, theta, or V matrix, you don't have to remember them. It's fine if you do, like they are very obvious, but there's a whole manual online on LaTeX formulas, which you can just refer to for math. This is the basics that he has told of how to represent the mathematical equations with many examples, but these aren't for memorization. These are for understanding. And okay, now I'm going to be covering a very important part. So here you notice, right? There's no structure for the document at all. We have no sections, we have no subsections, we have no same structure. So for that, we have a very nice keyword called, which is very obvious, which is called slash section. Yeah, that's it. That's the keyword. So you just have to write a title of the section. So section introduction. And once you compile that, you'll get a heading telling, I think, one section. Okay, is it report? 1 second. I just changed to article mode because a report works in the space of chapters. So each section can be divided as a big chapter. I mean, there's a big chapter, and inside chapters there's sections. Whereas article itself is a one document, so it has sections as the partition. There's no chapter inside article. So I converted it here. And you might have noticed I put a new command called new page. So this is a very nice command. So what new page does is in cases where, like here, I want the title to be made, but the rest of it I don't want to interfere. So when I click on new page, all the content after that part just gets shifted to a new page. It doesn't care what it is, it just gets shifted. So if I remove the new page, what will actually happen is the introduction will come right below the title. You can just check it out right now. Here, it's all right here. But if I add a new page, it'll just go to the next page as it has happened. So yeah, sections. Coming back to my old point. So sections it's ordered as per, you don't need to mention what number it is. You just have to tell section that I am defining a section right now, and the content in the section is all this, whatever is under it. So first section is introduction. Introduction has this is a trial latex document, and yeah, whatever Skanda had mentioned with the new lines. Then the next section, obviously out of what he has covered, is styling. So I can just write styling. And notice how I'm not writing numbers, but it's automatically numbering them. So as per the occurrence order of each section, it will number it automatically, and I do not need to think about what number is the section by doing it manually. And even the file outline, you can notice there's an outline where you can skip to specific file out, I mean sections by clicking on them. Each section and subsection will show up in the file outline. So now we have styling, and then we have lists. So I'm just gonna name them all as per the order that we got. And a freaks also. And then there is a section of tables. And as I'm typing, I think you can guess what will happen slowly. Each number sections will keep following along, and you get sections to like partition for ourselves. And yeah, so now we have, I think, 6 sections, and all of them are numbered appropriately. So now we have some kind of structure to a document, right? And what if I want to tell that right now in lists, I have unordered lists. What I mean by unordered lists is that it's not going 1, 2, 3, it's going just dot, dot, dot. We are not specifying as an order. So unordered, I want to tell that this part is unordered lists. So I can make a subsection telling this is unordered list. And this part, the enumerate part, is an ordered list. That is, it has a certain set order that we define for it. So we tell that it is an ordered list. And with this, we get subsection in the paper and also in the file outline, which we can easily see. And it automatically orders as well. It does a 3.1 because it's a part of the section list, and section is list is 3. If a subsection is defined inside a section, it will automatically count itself as 3.1. And again, this is only in the case of articles. All of this is subject to change based on the document class. And one more thing that I could cover about the document class, Skanda covered about article or report. Like that, there are a lot of document classes that are global in nature. You can use these document classes and make your own customized classes. Like let's say I want to make a small class called workshop.cls. So I make a file called workshop.cls, which will have every single design pattern. I can redefine how my title looks, my author looks, my date looks, and every single aspect of a document to personalize it completely how I want it to look like. And this is a document class, and that is up to my liberty to do if I really want to. And that is how they design documents in LaTeX using document classes. And regarding the tables, make it 5 centimeter for neatness. So regarding tables, there's a begin table, and the table itself has a caption, and there's a label, right? We didn't really use this. Caption is what is being shown. We know that. Caption, I'll call it simple table, and that actually shows up in the PDF. But whereas what is label? Why have we never talked about this? If you have wondered this, I'll show you right now what is label. I will label this as tab : simple. So what this label tag is, it's a label to indicate which table it is. So this is table 1. We know that it has automatically numbered, LaTeX has numbered this table as table 1. What if I want to tell that my details are in table 1, or I want to refer to it? So I tell my details are in table, and I don't need to specify 1. That's not necessary in LaTeX. All I have to do is type /ref, and inside that, type the label that is under the table. So I have typed the label tab simple, and I just refer to that. And now if I do it, the compilation, automatically the ref is replaced by 1. We can notice table 1. If I add one more table with a different label, let's say, which is now now simple will be table 2. I'll call it dupe. This is table duplicate. So now because there's a one more table and it counts as a second table in the order, it will automatically rename itself to table 2 because the reference is to the simple table, which is actually 2. I don't need to worry about what is my table order and what am I referring to. I just need to give it a label that makes sense to me. And that automatically can be used for referencing without really worrying about what sections might be added. Unlike where if you're using something like MS Word or Google Docs, you have to remember the order and what tables are there. If you add something above an existing table, you have to again rename everywhere the table is referenced at. Here, you just have to do the ref attribute. Just like I am referencing the table, I can reference a section as well. So I can reference styling. I can tell right here, label, section, styling. Of course, this sec colon is not necessary. Tab colon is also not necessary. It is just a convention to make sure that you are meaning section styling or table styling. I can just write label styling and no problem at all. Everything is fine. So I'll tell uh, explanation of styles are covered in section /ref sec styling. And I don't know what section styling will be, right? When I'm authoring, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think, oh, this is going to be section 2. That's too much for me to think about. I can just label it as per how it makes sense to me, and I can just refer it. Even if a section comes before styling, it will still be fine because it will refer on runtime, on compile time. It will be very accurate. So that is referencing. And you can do this not just for tables and sections, even for subsections and even for figures. So even figure has a label, right? So even this, I can tell figure nature and refer to this the exact same way. Nature is in figure /ref fig nature. So automatically, as per where nature is, it will label it in my text. And one more cool thing about LaTeX is that it has a nice package. This package is called hyperref. So what this refers to is hypertext reference, and this does nothing but give hypertext rules to ref. So right now, if you have compiled it, you will notice that these table, the number 2 and 1, whatever I referred, are clickable. If I click on table 2, it will automatically go to table 2's label because that's where the label is situated. So you can just jump to images directly by clicking on these labels, and that just makes the work easier or to navigate documents. Okay, anyways. So what if I want a section like I am writing acknowledgements. Acknowledgements don't have a certain numbering, right? You don't have to have a numbering to acknowledgements because it's not really part of the whole subtext. It is something that you would like to add, or even preface. All these things don't need a numbering. They're just part of the document, but you won't want to add it as a numbered section. So for that, there is an option of writing the class section star. So not just in sections, anywhere else, even figure or table, if you write a star, a lot of times the figure 1 or table 1 is omitted. It's not part of the um, counter of LaTeX. So right now I can write section star acknowledgements. I mean it. And so we just have acknowledgements. So we can get a section that does not have a number, just like that. So that is acknowledgements. And then references. This is the most coolest and probably the most important part of your documents. So when you're managing references, right, a lot of you will have a lot of formats for references. Like there is the MLA format, there's the APA format, there's the IEEE format. There's so many things that you got to worry about. But you don't have time to manage everything and like copy the exact format for every document. So some they implemented something called BibTeX. So I hope you can see other tabs. I think yeah, you can. So I can go to the usual scholar.google.com. Hey, can somebody give me a cool research topic on chat? Just type anything. Anything that you find cool. I'll just type it into Google Scholar right now. And just to get a research paper and to show you how to cite. I guess. I hope you're not asleep. Encryption. Nanotechnology. Okay, I will go with encryption because that was the first person to write. Okay. 1 to 4, which paper? Type a number. 3. Okay, I got 3. So here we have a cite button, right? Fuzzy identity based encryption. I do not know what this paper is, but I'll assume I'm going to use this. So cite. And there's a lot of citation topics. I have MLA, APA, Chicago, Harvard, Vancouver. There's so many things, right? And I don't want to hard base my citation based on this. On Google Docs or Microsoft Word, I have to make sure to get this. But BibTeX has this thing. There's a button called BibTeX. So what this generates for me is something containing data of the paper itself. So it has title, author, book title, pages, year, and organization. All these things are part of citation, and they are compiled as something called a BibTeX format. Now, I'll just keep this open for now. I'll add a new file called references.bib. So I'll open this and just copy and paste. And what this document will have, it will simply have all the things that I refer to in my work. As I research on something, right? I will have a lot of references. You can do this also automatically using software like Zotero or Mendeley. But if you're going to do it manually, you just need to take the paper, get its BibTeX, and paste it. Almost every conference, journal publication always have a BibTeX that you can just copy and paste. And a lot of sites generate BibTeX for you if you have a link. Let's say you have a link of a website and you want to generate BibTeX for it. There are sites that do that for you. You can just search it. So these won't be shown in my reference. These are just stuff that is there in the bibliography that I haven't cited it yet. I will use one more package for citing. It's called, very obviously, the package is called cite. This is just such an obvious name, right? So I will tell that, oh, encrypted. Yes. Could you go to that? Ah, yes. So it's scholars.google, right? For now, I've searched encryption. And encryption, it will show me all papers, all recent papers related to encryption which are relevant to me. This is scholar.google.co.in, very useful. So now, if I click on the cite button, you see this is save, where you can save your papers and data as a save, right? Then there is the cite button, the second button. So when I get that, I have a pop-up. And in this pop-up, I select the BibTeX. What this translates to is bibliography of tech. So tech is like a whole typesetting standard. And BibTeX, when you click on that, you get a news site with the details of the article or the publication or the in proceedings. I hope that's clear, Ansha. Like if I need to clear up more. Okay. So now this thing. Yeah. So now I can also generate one more small thing. So I would have to mention bibliography. Bibliography, I'll tell where my bibliography is. So right now I'm telling my bibliography is in the file references.bib that I've just added. But this bibliography is not enough. I got to tell what style I'm putting the bibliography in. Like I showed, there's MLA, there's APA, there's Harvard, there's Chicago. There's so many types that you can think of. So I also need to tell bibliography style. And here I'll be using the simple IEEE PR style. All the bibliography styles are also mentioned. Like I'll just show that by Googling it right now. Like the one that I use is IEEE Clan, but so there's a whole thing about how to use them. There's abbreviated format, there's ACM format, there's alpha, there's API-like format. All these formats are just there for you that you can just take and use. I'm using the IEEE TR format, and this is the official IEEE way of writing bibliography. And now, if I just write this without citing, here I haven't cited. You can notice that I just written a sentence, but I have not cited. So if I just write it, I think I need to remove the tag box. The references are empty. We'll have references, but it's empty, and the warning shows that empty bibliography. And that makes sense. They're perfectly right. So now the fun part is even though references.bib actually has references, it will never show until I cite it. So right now, if I click cite and open it, it will automatically have suggestions. So Sahai 2005 Fuzzy is the paper that I have put in my references, and it will automatically suggest me that this is one of the references you have. And if I click it and just run it, it will cite the references there, and my references part will also have that in the IEEE format. So this is in the exact IEEE format using the BibTeX, and here I have a reference, and these are clickable. And the fun part is if I want to convert all of my references to API-like, because let's say I published, I told my journal person that take my paper, and they got back to me after reviewing that. So your publications are in IEEE format. I wanted an APA. So one brilliant thing about LaTeX is that you don't have to make much changes. You just have to change it to API-like, and it's done. It's really done. That's all you have to do. Look at that. That's API. So you don't have to work that hard to manage references. And one more thing that they fuss about is that all references must be in the order of the citation. So for example, I took this article, right? I'll add this as well. And I'll cite it somewhere else. So I'll cite it up below I love to play basketball. And this is Goldwasser. Yeah. Now, when I cite it, it obviously goes to the references. You can see it added. The interesting part is if I reorder, even the references get reordered. Right now, I write Sahai, and above in place of Sahai, I write Goldwasser. The references are cited exactly in order of how I cited it. And this is the best part of LaTeX for references because it makes managing all this so easy. Otherwise, you have to look at so many websites, so many ways. You have to get a lot of formats into specifically this format. And it's hell, to be very honest. Going through this and making this on Word, I had done it about 3 months back. I took 5 hours to complete references just because they said this is not in the right format you want. I wanted an order. And that time, LaTeX is a savior. That is what I'm gonna infer from that. And one more thing, right? Now I have this file outline, but even though you know the outline, when you're writing in Word, you have to tell font, let's say 26, table of contents, and then write every single element by hand. The best part again of LaTeX is I'm not joking. That's all it means. And look at how beautifully the contents are generated without you needing to do anything. It's a single line and it's perfectly. And even if you change the page number, that is, you add more content and the page numbers change around, you don't have to struggle changing it. It will do it for you. All of this are pros of document generation because when the document becomes bigger and you need to maintain contents and references and you need to maintain sections that you add, you need to regulate changes, all of these things, when the document becomes big, you don't have power in Word. You have to change every single thing. Like every time a person is like, no, I want a new chapter here, you'll probably cry if it's Word. But when it's LaTeX, you don't have a problem. You just have to enter the same section, right? It's an authorship thing. So you don't have to worry about numbering, styling. Everything is left to the program to do. You just have to think about what am I gonna write in this document. You have to worry about what equation you're gonna write. You're gonna worry about what theorem you're gonna write. And that is, I think, really good. I don't know about you guys, but yeah. Let's see. Have I covered everything? I think that's yeah, I think I have. Oh, that is. Oh, yeah. I forgot one small thing. So, if I have an abstract, so a lot of people mention an abstract, right? Just before just after the title, before table of contents, there is an abstract, so that the person reading the book or the PDF opens it and just sees that, okay, what does this document cover for me? So for that, also we have a structure, abstract. So here you can write anything. This is just a practice document. So right here, we have a small abstract, and that you can always separate and write a pretty big abstract. And that comes in its old style, because abstract doesn't need to be very big. It needs to be just there for the person to read quickly and figure out what the document is about, whether he has to continue reading the rest of the page, the paper or not. That is the point of an abstract. So uh, this is something small that we can write, uh, which abstracts the document. That's the meaning of it. So we can also implement abstract. So this is the sections part. We can also tag subsections. Everything can be labeled and refed. And refs are also extremely cool for you because you don't have to worry about what section am I numbering or what reference it is. So that's it. Oh, one more thing that I think Skanda forgot to cover, just in math. Let's say you would have seen in your textbooks, right? There might be an equation, and at the end of it, there'll be a one with a parenthesis. So that part, it's actually very simple. There's no extra complication. So write begin equation. So um, which do I take? Which is the coolest equation? Integral. So I'll take the integral out of this. I don't need a square bracket, by the way. Just take that and copy it here. So if I write begin equation, it should appear centered, and also the equation should be labeled appropriately. And I can label this. I can tell that label equal integral integral. And once I label it, I can reference it anywhere, and it will come as equation one. That is also how textbooks work. Like a lot of textbooks write this. And there's a lot of other things that you can do. The things that you can do are you can write algorithms. Like if you have opened an algorithm book or any book that has algorithms in it, you'll see how coolly they're mentioned. Algorithm one, this heading, and then what is the function, how the algorithm works. Everything is mentioned in such a cool way. And it's very hard to type that exact thing in Word, right? But actually, LaTeX just makes that job very simple. I have to show that part. So let's leave Scholar or Google for now. And not just, I mean, all these citations are generated not by Scholar or Google, but given by these sites. Like for example, in Springer, okay, I don't think it's open access. Oh, it's open access. Yeah, so in Springer, which is a very good journal site where you can get some, you can just go cite papers here. And even here, you'll have a bit text. You can notice this. So this, you can also get the citation, and they usually come as a .bib folder. You can also add multiple bib folders, just like I added references.bib. You can add multiple of them, and it's perfectly fine. They're just you can add bibliography this, and it goes on. It's fine. Open the bib folder. So this will have the exact bib, and all these sites usually give this very well. Sharing 4 applications at a time. Oh, I'm sorry. So one thing that I gonna show. How convenient. So you would have seen these algorithms in textbooks of various textbooks, or even this. Or sometimes in programming textbooks, you have whole programming bodies put in such a nice format. All of this are not word magic, they are LaTeX magic. So we just have a nice package called algorithm and algorithm 2e where they have mentioned all this. And we just have to write what's the initialization and the while loop, if clause, all of these you can just define. And in algorithmic package, again, you can define a state. That is some I gets 10 or if state, else if. There's so many things. There's an algorithm package. Then there's a package called listings where you can select your language and you can add a whole C file. Like you just have to link a C file that you can upload with the LaTeX format itself. Along with that, there's a whole bunch of format. You can use multiple columns, you can use colors, footnotes, and you can also adjust the headers, footers. You can do so many things. And then there is, if you're going to go more into science, there's field specific, theorems and proofs. Like the nice theorems that they mention in textbooks, right? It's nothing but begin theorem. And these are also automatically numbered. And even these are labeled and referred so that you don't have to struggle with it. And all of this, you can just refer theorems and corollaries and lemmas and number them exactly as they work. And that is the power of LaTeX. There's so many things. There's also Feynman diagrams, molecular orbital diagrams, and so many things that I really haven't worked before and didn't need to. And the overleaf documentation is yours to have power over. And I have only reference, I think this part. That's the basics of overleaf and LaTeX. So can I cite articles? 1 second. Like articles I found on other websites? Yeah. So when it comes to websites like on Medium, they come as a link, right? You can't. The way to cite them is that you have to give the URL. Um, I'll just show this nice site. Yeah. So there's this site called Cite This For Me. This is not LaTeX anymore. Now I'm going into more of how to write a paper, but you just have to choose a citation style. Like there's so many citation style that you can just choose, and choose Harvard, and you can choose source type. Like for example, in your source type, you have a Medium article, which is a website. So I can click on a website, and I just have to. Oh, there was something, right? Brilliant. Site. So here you can automatically get the citation. Go, yeah, cool. Continue. And you can fill out other things if you have details of that, like publisher, like the Medium article author, if you do have it, you can just put publisher, and there's a URL, and you can click complete citation, and you'll actually get a bibliography citation. Like right now, you get a copy bibliography citation, and you can just copy. Don't show this again. Yeah, so you have a bibliography citation that you can copy, and you can paste it in your. What happened here? Oh, I think I have not selected bibliography. I mean, selected BibTeX. Yeah. So now if I put BibTeX, I'll get that bibliography citation. And these are not tagged as journal or some kind of website. They are just tagged as miscellaneous. And this side has this problem where it generates these break elements. You can just remove these and you can directly use this in Cited. This works. That is how you would cite a website. Always look at Cite This For Me if there's no straightforward citation. That is a simple advice. That's a good site for doing all that for you. Because citations might not be clear, right? A website knows exactly what to do with the data. They have the format ready for you. It's faster. That's the whole intuition. Yeah, I think, yeah, so there's theorems, proofs, then there's a lot of Feynman diagrams. there's a lot. There's various things that you can do with LaTeX itself. And this is the basics of LaTeX. This is not at all of it. And one more thing is that if you ever run into a problem, like if you have an error that, or you have a suggestion that how can I make multiple columns? Like for example, I have a table here, right? What if I, in this table, I want to split the, um, this is my table of universe, Earth, and Venus. That cell, right? I want to split it into two columns, but the rest of it should be one column. That time you would want such a table at some time. There are cases where you would want such tables. So these tables are called multi-column tables, where you would split a header into two small subcolumns. So these are called multi-col tables, and they do exist. You just have to search for multi-column tables, and there are a lot of articles or questions on Stack Overflow explaining how to do this. Just like that, you can search absolutely anything, and you will find a solution. This is just for you to
Karthik, you lost your audio.
Okay. Hello. Hello. Am
Yeah.
I back? Am I back?
Yeah,
Am I
you're
back?
back. Yeah, you're back.
Where did I stop? Where did I stop?
What?
What is this? Where did I stop? Like where
Yeah,
did
you
it
were
stop?
just selecting the part of the table of universe, I think. You were trying to merge the
Okay.
columns, I guess.
Okay. So I'm not trying to merge it. I'm just telling that you can have multiple columns, and that is beyond the scope of this workshop itself. And multiple columns is an example of what you would want to try. And for this, you're a search away. You have the power of internet on your hands when it comes to LaTeX. And not just the power of internet. I think Skanda shared a documentation. There's an official book of I think 700 or so pages, which is everything about LaTeX.
I'm sharing it
And
now.
yeah, so that document has everything possible, and you can also look for a lot more uh, of on the internet. Like the internet has so many things that you can use. So that is one part that I could say. Okay, the next part. How do I write the cool format that I observe? So right now these are pretty lame format, right? I have some latex workshop. This is just an article. This is very lame. It looks bland. So for that, uh, I said I would cover templates later, right? So this is where you would look. So you have templates. You have academic journal, book, formal letter, homework assignment. The best part of LaTeX is the community support. A lot of people have actually worked on LaTeX and made amazing designs for you to reuse and make documents in them. So that you only work on the authorship and not on the design. So templates are there for the sole reason of you to complete the authorship without worrying about the design. So right now, for a very basic example, IEEE conferences have a certain format that they observe. They need the title in a certain way. They want the bibliography in a certain way. They want sections numbered exactly in a certain way. They want the authors in a certain way. All this is a template or a format. So if I just search IEEE in this templates part, I will get an IEEE conference LaTeX template. And here I can open it as a template and just, I don't have to worry about section numbering or about references. I mean, I just have to write the right bibliography. But the rest of it, there's a whole paper thing that's there. And all of these text is nothing but it tells you exactly how the thing works. And like all of this is ease of use, maintaining the integrity of the specifications. So it tells you how to use this file and telling you that IEEE has the things to style text. So all of this is written in IEEE This is the template itself. And this is the class file, the document class. Right now you see document class, right? And IEEE tran. So we get it from this file. And they have mentioned exactly how to use the format and prepare the paper. And they've just shown absolutely everything you need for your help for making the paper. So this template, for instance, goes on to actually become this. This is a paper that I was authoring. So this, I didn't do anything except change the IEEE. I mean, keep the IEEE standard CLS, but I only changed the LaTeX file. And I have a paper like this. I didn't need to work that hard, and it took about 4 hours with the right content. That's all I took, because I had the content ready. I just had to add it and put the tables and put the picture and all of that, and that took me 4 hours. Like, come on, that's pretty good. So that is one thing that I can say. And all this in IEEE format, and I just used the IEEE conference template and modified it for my work. Like that, there's a lot of other templates. Not just templates, like I can make a poster. So I made a interesting poster, and this poster was fully on LaTeX. This is LaTeX. This is not just, I'm not using anything fancy. This is LaTeX. Like all of this was made using interesting tables and all that. I just had to copy paper from an existing paper, I mean text from an existing paper, and just show you here. Like that, I have made multiple documents using LaTeX, and you can use anything. Even the resume that I have is in LaTeX, because there's a nice template that somebody had shared, and now I just have to change or add a new section, and I don't have to think about the numbering or anything else. I just have to add a section. It's taking a while to compile. Okay. Okay, I'll not bore you guys further. So you can just go to templates, and I advise all of you to go to these templates. Just okay. Let's say you want to make a nice resume or a calendar. Just click on resume, and you'll have so many templates. Like it just shows you that these are the templates. Just go through them, see what you would like to change to yourself. So the one that I'm actually using right now is the Jake's resume template. That template is what I'm using and changing on. Like that, there are a lot of templates that you can just click on this and open as template, edit it. It's yours now. All these are there just for your sake, and Overleaf is giving these templates for free. So when you have such beautiful documents, you can do it. And not just Overleaf, a lot of publication sites, like if Springer itself, a journal of Springer, has their own format of publication, they usually provide a LaTeX template just for you to edit on. So if you know the basics of LaTeX, you can do all of this and make a nice book. I think I have said enough. I think I've bored you enough for this long. I hope the presentation has been useful and you guys took away something from it. I'll stop sharing. I think Skanda would like to end it. Skanda, you're muted.
I didn't realize I was muted. Okay, so we're almost at the end of the workshop. Any quick feedback in the chat that will really help us, to improve in further events? Anything you want to say? Any feedback? Anything at all? We'd
Or if
love
you
to
have
hear what your
questions, please ask me any questions.
questions.
And not
Yeah.
just on LaTeX. If you have any questions on
Oh, there's a feedback here.
writing papers, sure. Yeah, Overleaf is a platform to work on LaTeX. Overleaf is an online platform. You can download something for LaTeX. There's a lot of things. There's a software called TechLife where you can download and install, but you need Linux itself, and it's a tedious job to download and make it run. But Overleaf has a collaborative online environment, and it's a lot better to use. It's easy. That's the whole point of it. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
and
Thank you, Anisha.
yeah, please make a note of the wiki media, that link which I've sent.
Yes.
That will take you to the the download page of the PDF. That is the the original wiki, so that has the like almost everything which you need for using LaTeX. I'd really recommend you all to go through it and there are advanced LaTeX, stuff there. You can have a
Yeah.
look at it, use it. And I've written the chat as well. I recommend you all to, use LaTeX to, submit your assignment. Since I'm pretty sure whatever semester you are in, another semester will be online. So your assignments and all, when you have to submit, I'd recommend you to use LaTeX. Probably impress your teachers. So that is
Exactly.
one thing. And
And
remember we did a comparison between Word and LaTeX here. Our motive was not to degrade MS Word. It has its own pros and cons. So is LaTeX, and the more you use each of them, the better you get to know about each of them. We'd recommend you to go for LaTeX as well. Microsoft for its own applications. If you just have one picture and a caption for it, you don't have to worry about LaTeX and all its use packages, etc. You can just go to Word and paste the image. Obviously, no one's stopping you to do that, but look at your application, look at what's the usage, and that's how you should decide whether what to use. There are good templates present on Word also. You can just go to Office 365 and check it out there. So that is one thing. Another thing, we have put the feedback link in the chat. Please submit your feedback there. We'd love to hear from you all about today's session, and any other questions. We are open to Q&A now, and anything at all you want to say, we are open to discussion.
And I would like to cover one more thing. This is a completely basic LaTeX version. Like the whole point wasn't telling that. So all I wanted to convey was LaTeX is there and you can use it for these purposes. But again, if you want to write a single page letter, please don't use LaTeX. Why would you even go through all that pain to write just one letter? For letter, Word is brilliant. You can manage a single page letter using Word. But when you want to make big documents, managing using Word is hard, and we all know that. We have all seen the disaster when we move an image and everything goes out of place. LaTeX avoids that, right? LaTeX gives you sanity to your work. You can focus on your work and not spend 30 minutes writing and 2 hours formatting it. That is the whole point of LaTeX. Whereas if you're writing simple stuff, please go to Word. Like that's the idea of it. That is the main implication, and that is also why I put that graph earlier. That LaTeX is bad for small stuff, but it's great for big stuff.
Correct.
Any questions? Please ask me. Thank you, Vaishnavi. Means a lot.
Okay, so
We'll be here until 5. Okay.
before we
Yeah.
wind up the session, the floor is open for Q&A anyway. So before that, I would like to take a minute to thank both of our speakers here. Ambu and Skanda have done an amazing work today, and these two are our tech enthusiasts in our team, and they have done really well. And I was listening to the entire workshop throughout, and I did learn a lot, honestly, from my end itself. So it was new for me as well, and I'm pretty sure all the participants here have learned a lot. So these two guys have put in a lot of effort to actually fully curate the content for you guys and make it as simple as possible so that you guys understand and you can make the best use of this. So thanks a lot, Skanda and Ambu. We have a small token of appreciation for both of you. Rashi, you could present it. Thank you,
Okay.
Skanda. Thank you again. Thank you, Ambu.
Thank you, Rupert. Thank you, Rashi.
Yeah, so if any feedback from any of the participants, you guys can put it up in the chat box here. Otherwise, you can unmute yourself, and if there are any questions also, the speakers are here. We'll be here for answering. They're here for answering the questions. And yes, the recording will be put up on Bangalore Section YouTube channel. Yes, definitely it will be available. You guys can have a look at it for future references as well. So I'm assuming Ambu and Skanda here have thought so well that nobody has any doubts here. So
You
you
can
guys,
reach out to us, at any point of time. We'll be very happy to help you. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm actually serious. You can actually go through the manual yourself. You will find everything there as we found it. The documentation is presented
so
over the yeah.
Ambu and Skanda, you can leave your email IDs down here.
Yeah.
Sure.
So in case they need any doubts, they'll reach out to you guys.
Absolutely. That's great, Anita.
That's great. So, and one more thing is, I suggest that you won't remember these commands. Nobody will remember these commands on first look, and I don't want you to remember as well. If you had by hearted from the session, I'm sorry, that's not the way to learn like that. But start working on something, make something by yourself, and I assure you that having a reason to work on LaTeX and actually making something with LaTeX will put you in a much better place easily. Like I didn't learn because I had a workshop. I learned as I felt that Word was being annoying to me. That's literally the plain reason. I found a solution that, oh, LaTeX is something that they use. And I went on to explore. And because I had a need for it, I learned. And I think everybody will learn a lot better if you really have a need for it. That is my opinion. I
So
hope
is there like a cheat sheet or something that they can refer to?
the link that I sent, I think
I'll send a
the
user
link of
manual which has everything.
Okay.
and overleaf.com/learn. That learn tab has the basic cheat sheet of every single concept of, I mean, the basic concepts of overleaf. And the documentation has a lot of things.
Okay then.
And I can put that link again.
Yeah, I put it. I'm doing it.
Oh, you put it. Yeah. So that link has the most basic concept that we covered today. I have covered a little bit extra than that, but that has all the concepts, that are the most basic concepts that you need for yourself. And you can also look at external documentation to find more about what you actually need for your application. So try making something, and yeah, you can start with as small as something for your assignment.
Yep.
That's the best way.
I'll tell you the funny part actually. I was contributing to some wikis, in 9th and 10th standard. I didn't know it was called as LaTeX and I used to use it. And then after a year and a half, I understood, okay, this is what I was doing all this for 1 year is called as LaTeX. And now it's coming back to me. And then I feel great. I just look at LaTeX, any document in LaTeX, and I'm like, wow, that is the beauty of a document. That's how it should look like. I mean, I hope all of you will, slowly, gather that interest, and then you'll look at a document and appreciate its beauty and the hard work which actually goes behind it. I think this is not an easy thing. Congratulations to all of you as well. You just made your first
Yeah.
LaTeX document. If it was your first workshop on it, man, go ahead with this. That's it.
Yes. Oh,
And great. I think we shall wind up this session.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming. It has been great.
That was really great.